Welcome to the Let Your Spirit Guides Speak podcast. I'm Deborah Engel, and I want to thank you so much for joining me today for information about living a happier and more creative life with the help of your personal spirit guides. You can find this podcast and many others at sacredstoriesmedia.com. Also, you'll find my book, Let Your Spirit Guides Speak, on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and at your favorite independent bookstores. And please stop by my website, deborahengel.com, for information about upcoming events and workshops. That's DebraEngle.com. Today we're going to talk about spiritual guidance and creativity. Now, if you don't think that you're creative, I want you to think again. You don't have to be a writer or an artist or a musician to earn that title of being creative. The truth is that you are a manifesting machine, and that's creative. We're going to talk about how to manifest virtually anything you want with the help of your guides, making your life one creative act after another. And I'll share with you 3 simple and fun things you can do to supersize your communication with your guides for an even more creative life. Now, here's what I want you to know about creativity and spiritual guidance. I believe that it's impossible to have one without the other. Now, you may not believe me on that, but I'm going to explain why in just a minute. First, though, I want to bust some myths about creativity. I want you to ask yourself if you've ever heard some of these ideas or if you've even thought about them yourself. One of them is, as I said earlier, I'm not a writer or a painter. I don't play an instrument, so I'm not creative. There's that myth that if you don't sing or dance, write, play music, or paint, that you're not a creative person. Sometimes accountants don't think they're creative, or dentists, or maintenance workers, or cashiers. But these what-if questions can help bust that myth. Questions like, what if you are infinitely creative and you just don't know it? What if we would redefine creativity so that you could see yourself differently? Here's another myth. Myth number 2, people are either born creative or they're not. And creativity isn't something that you can develop. If you don't have creative genes, then you're just simply out of luck. The truth is that everybody's born creative. Honestly, when you think about it, how could we not be? We are extensions of the creative force in the universe. And so creativity is an innate quality to everyone, including you. And yes, in fact, you can develop it, and your spirit guides will help. And a third myth, creative people are smarter than others. Well, first of all, if we're all creative, that can't be true. And because we're creative in so many different ways, it's not a competition of intelligence. Honestly, it's not a competition at all. You get to manifest your creativity in the ways that are right for you. So, okay, a minute ago I said that it's impossible to be creative without spiritual guidance, and it's impossible to have spiritual guidance without creativity. If I could have you vote on whether you agree with me about that, I'm guessing the vote would be pretty well split. So let me explain what I mean. What if we defined creativity as the art of living instead of the art of painting a portrait or writing a novel? What if creativity isn't an attribute that only certain people have, but it truly is a birthright of being human? What if creativity isn't something you do, but it's who you are? And what if your spirit guides are your creative partners every moment of your life? Your spirit guides helped you come into this life. They helped you devise this life as a learning opportunity. They were there even before you came into this human form to think about and talk about and plan who and what you're going to manifest in this life. Now, you have free will, and so those things can change. They're not set in stone. But the truth is that your guides truly are always whispering in your ear, whacking you gently alongside the head. They're always working to wake you up in this human lifetime so that you can be the creative being you are. They're helping you manifest what you want, and that's the creative act we all engage in every day. Even if you're not consciously aware of your guides' wisdom and their direction, they still are helping you. They are still helping you solve problems and make something new and take care of a project at work and raise your family. All of those things that are essentially innately creative acts. So they're being our creative partners. It's so true. We just go hand in hand with them. We can't operate without them. They can't operate without us. Now, here's another thing that I want you to think about in terms of creativity and manifestation. Your mind is a powerfully creative tool. And just think about this. You can picture anything you want in your mind, and you can make it real. If you want to visit a tropical island with palm trees and sea breezes, you can close your eyes and go there. You don't have to book a ticket. You don't have to buy a swimsuit. You can go there in your mind. If you want to feel what it's like to drive a brand new sports car, you can close your eyes and you can go there. If you want to redecorate your kitchen, close your eyes and you go there. It's even been shown that if we exercise in our minds, if we see ourselves doing aerobics or doing a workout, we get a huge amount of the benefit that we would if we were actually physically doing that exercise. So we create things in our minds. That's where everything happens. And then if we add our heart, our deep desire to that mental creative power, and then combine that with direction from your guides, and you've got a manifesto for manifestation. There is no denying how creative a person you are. I want you to think back to when you were little and you daydreamed. Maybe you were at school and you were bored, and so you stared out the window and let your mind wander. Or maybe you sat in the back seat of the car when you were on family vacation, looking out the window. Just think about some of the things that you daydreamed about. Maybe you daydreamed about becoming a teacher, or having children, or starting a business, or becoming a doctor, or becoming a fireman. Maybe you daydreamed about becoming an actor, or being a scientist, traveling the world, digging up ancient treasure. Maybe you daydreamed and even pretended that you had children of your own. Maybe you played with dolls and, with little pretend kitchens, and you sent those kids off to school each day, teaching them to daydream for themselves. Now, life doesn't always work out the way we expect because we do have free will, and countless factors enter into what we create in our lives. But I'm guessing that if you think through the dreams that you had as a kid, many of them have come true, maybe more than you've ever realized. You have manifested them because you are a creative being, and your guides have been right there with you all along, giving you direction even when you weren't consciously aware of it. Because that's the thing about the guides. They are always speaking to us, whether we're listening or not, and they want us to manifest our dreams. They will go to great lengths to help make that happen. There's a great quote from George Bernard Shaw, who said, quote, "Imagination is the beginning of creation. You imagine what you desire, you will what you imagine, and at last you create what you will." That's manifestation and creativity. And we can be so much more powerful creators when we work with our guides as they talk to us in our imagination, in our daydreams or our sleeping dreams. It's important to know that your creativity, the ways that you display it, are just as unlimited as you are. So when are you creative? Well, anytime there's a problem and you manifest a solution, you're creative. Every time you turn something into something else or turn nothing into something, you're creative. For instance, think about baking a cake. You take flour and eggs and sugar, some vanilla, you mix it all up. Those things didn't look anything like a cake, but you put them all together, you create something new. Create something new out of seemingly unrelated things. Anytime you're helping a friend see things a different way, guess what? You're creative. It just goes on and on and on. What I'd really encourage you to do is to sit down and with your guides, be in conversation with them or ask them to be present with you, and just make a list of all of the different ways that you are creative in just one day. Not in every day, because that list would go on forever, but just take one day, take this day, and write down a list of all the things that you can think of that you've done that have been creative. Don't limit yourself. See things that you've never thought about before as creative, And I think you will really surprise yourself with that list. The thing is that your guides can help you in so many different ways. And I'm going to talk about 3 ways in particular that they can really help you being the manifesting machine that you are. One thing that they can do is that they can help heal any hurts that you might feel from someone who told you that you weren't talented enough or creative enough as a child. I think this happens so much more often than we even realize, that somebody, some adult, whoever it might be, it could be a parent or a teacher or a counselor, gives us a message when we're little that we just can't do it. We're not creative enough. And we carry that message with us into adulthood, maybe throughout our entire lives. You may be thinking, I tried painting a picture when I was in school, and my art teacher told me that it was no good. And it shut you down. It shut down your desire to be a creative person. Again, not because you have to be an artist to be creative, but it may have just sent you a message that there are certain things that you can't do or can't be or can't become, can't manifest, just simply because one person said a few words to you when you were little. Your guides can help you with that. They can help you believe in your own creativity again. I want you to think back again to when you were little and to some of the creative things that you did, not the pictures that you painted or the stories that you wrote necessarily, but just all of those things that you did in play and in joy that were so creative. One thing that I think about is that when I was about 10 years old, my best friend Anne lived across the street, and we loved making things. We both knew how to sew. So we made bean bags shaped like frogs. We'd, fill them up with rice and beans. We made these little troll-like creatures out of felt. But one of our biggest projects was that we took this old cart that was kind of like a wheelbarrow. We took a big appliance carton or box, turned it upside down, cut holes in it for windows, painted it with daisies, which was kind of the popular motif at the time. And then we taped that box to the cart and called it a mini hut. Well, you can imagine, here's this box turned upside down on top of this old kind of rickety cart. But we sold rides to the neighborhood kids in that mini hut. We probably made all of $2. There was nothing perfect or great about it. It was a little cockeyed and the windows weren't straight. And we had to keep duct taping the box to the cart. But we had an idea and we made it real. And the thing is, we enjoyed it. That's what creativity is. Often just taking an idea and then manifesting it. So I want you to think about those things that you did when you were little that maybe you've dismissed thinking, that wasn't all that creative. Give yourself credit for them. Claim them as creative. Claim them as manifestation. And if somebody did give you a message that you weren't creative when you were young, sit down and talk with your guides about it. Journal what you hear from your guides. With their help, make a list of the creative solutions that you have come up with today, in your childhood, in your lifetime, and ask them to affirm your creative self so that you can really claim that for you. The second way that the guides help us with our creativity and manifestation is that they can give you great ideas, and they do it all the time. I know this from personal experience. And the thing is, if you don't use the idea, someone else will. They'll hand it off to someone else. So you really want to get busy. This is when, for instance, The Only Little Prayer You Need, which became a book that I wrote a couple of years ago. I was having a very bad day. I asked for some reassurance, something that would help. And I heard from my spirit guides these words that became The Only Little Prayer. Well, the message was so clear, even though I couldn't see my guides, they might as well have been perched on the dashboard of my car, which is where I was when I heard these words from them. They might as well have said to me directly, write a book about this, because that's how clearly I got their message. I ended up starting on the book that afternoon, that day, and I finished writing it 40 days later, because I knew that I needed to act on it. If you don't act on those great ideas that they give you, they will give those to someone else because they need people. They need us. They need us to follow through for them. Our guides have things to accomplish in this earthly world, just like we do. I think we tend to forget that. I know that I do a lot. So they need us to be their hands and their feet and their ears and their voices to bring things into manifestation. And if there's an assignment, a really juicy idea that they hand off to you and you dismiss it and turn away from it, you can be assured that they're going to find somebody else to do that instead. So consider it a great honor if they've chosen to give you an idea, because that means that they trust you. They know that you've got the ability to carry it out, and they will help you. But if you ignore it and say, I'm not good enough, or if you drag your feet, thinking that you don't have the time, or you don't have the resources, you could be dismissing the very best thing that ever happened to you. And also, you're snubbing your guides, which truly is not a good use of free will. It's not that they'll be mad at you or that they won't forgive you for it, but it's just not a respectful thing to do. So if you get an idea, follow that energy. If it lights you up, take action now. Don't give your ego mind time to jump in with objections and reasons not to do it. Just follow that energy and trust that your guides will help you, because that's the third thing they do. They will help keep you on the right path. Now, it's true that a lot of creations and manifestations take place over time. They're not instantaneous. For instance, building a house or raising a family or directing a play. These are things that can take months or years. During that time, your ego is going to pop up. You're going to have some doubts and what ifs along the way. That ego will make a lot of noise to try to distract you. But being in touch with your guides every day will reassure you that you are on the right path. They're going to be giving you messages, keep going, you're doing great. They're going to give you a nudge if you need to keep moving, if you start to drag your feet, and they will also reassure you and give you some new solutions if you run into stumbling blocks. That's why it's so important to build that relationship with them and be in touch with them daily so that you don't miss those messages as they come along. So if you're solving a problem, making a decision about going back to school, managing a project at work, building a relationship, all of those things are creative, and all of those things are just right there for you to talk with your guides about. There will be times when an idea will seem to completely fall out of the sky and right into your head. And when that happens, and it'll happen more and more and more as you develop this relationship with your guides, write it down, talk with your guides about it, take action, and know that you have been given a great gift from your co-creator and collaborator, your spirit guides. Now, I want to talk about 3 simple ways to supersize the communication with your guides for more creative collaboration. These are things that I think are really fun to do, and they are easy to do, and they're ways that you can interact with and listen to your guides' wisdom, maybe in ways that you haven't done before. Now, the first one is to do a vision board with your guides' help. It's very possible that you've done a vision board before. Basically, what you do is get a big piece of paper. You get a stack of magazines or other publications that have photographs and words in them. You get a pair of scissors, you get a glue stick, and then you just sit down and you start ripping out things or cutting them out that speak to you. As you go through those magazines, if you see a picture or a word or a combination of words that just really speaks to you, resonates in some way, you rip it out, and then you start to put all of these things on that big piece of paper until you've created a collage of images and words. It's something that you may want to do at least once a year, maybe every 6 months. So maybe you have done this before, but I think it has a twist to it when you actively do this as an exercise with your guides, because then your guides become active participants in it, and you're doing it consciously with them. Here's what you do is just ask for them to lead you to the pictures and words that you need most right now. So as you're going through those magazines, just ask, constantly ask, is there anything on this page that you are speaking to me through? And when you find those things, or when you feel a nudge, you feel a sense of, yes, this is something that I should cut out and put on my vision board, don't question it. Just go ahead and do it. Because after you've put the vision board together, then you can step back and ask your guides to help interpret it for you, to help you understand the deeper meaning of it. So don't judge as you go, because you never know until they help you see the meaning, what it is that they had in mind. For instance, if you're married and you feel a strong urge to cut out a picture of a woman in a wedding dress, you may be thinking, well, I'm not looking to get married. That's already happened. I don't need a picture of a woman in a wedding dress. But maybe your guides are giving you that nudge because something's going to happen in your marriage that will help you feel like you're starting your relationship all over again. There's some fresh energy coming to it. Maybe it's because there's someone in your life who's getting married and you don't know about that yet. Could be 1,000 things. So instead of judging or second guessing what you're led to, go ahead, cut them out, tear them out, put them on that vision board, and then ask your guides to tell you what they mean, knowing that that will give you a roadmap to the manifestation that you can do next. The second way that you can supersize or have fun with that communication is to create your own silent retreat. Now, this is a wonderful way to spend some quality time with your guides. It doesn't have to be a whole weekend or week, so if it seems overwhelming or daunting, know that you can do this in just a couple of hours. I'd recommend that you don't make it any less than 2 hours, because you need at least that much time to really kind of sink into the quiet, get comfortable with it, and then really delve into the activities that you can do, the communication that you can do with your guides during this silent retreat. Think of something that you want guidance about, and then think of 3 different ways to access the guide's wisdom during that time of the silent retreat. 3 that I always recommend are spending time in nature, maybe just taking a walk in the woods or taking a walk in the garden. The second one would be journaling, and the third would be drawing. And please don't gasp at the word drawing, because no one has to see what you draw. This is not about drawing the perfect picture, but it's just that these activities, taking time outdoors, journaling, drawing, they all set aside your logical mind and let your guides speak to you as you open up your heart, open up your non-logical mind, and just let your soul and your spirit guides answer the questions that are within you. And one of those questions can very much be, what can I manifest next? What do I need to create in my life? Those are the kinds of questions that you can ask in that silent retreat and really get some very rich answers. Another way to get answers, and this is the third thing that you can do to really expand that communication with your guides, is to ask for answers before you go to sleep at night. And then keep a dream journal by the side of the bed. I'd recommend making this a practice every day for a week, to ask a question before you go to sleep, and then before you get out of bed, and that's very important, before you get out of bed in the morning, write down what you remember about your dreams. Be very specific with your guides and your questions, though. For instance, instead of asking them, could you show me some information to help me with my relationships? You might ask, show me how to be a better friend. Or show me why there's so much tension between my husband and I. Help me to understand how I can be a better parent and why there's this conflict with one of my children. Now, my husband actually uses this technique all the time. He's in construction and he's always solving problems and designing tools in his mind. I can't tell you how many times he's posed a question about a specific problem or tool before he's gone to bed. And then when he wakes up in the morning, boom, there it is. There's the design in his mind. He wakes up, he grabs his piece of paper and pen, writes it down, and there it is. Thank you to the guides. Now, one thing that I do want to say about manifesting, and this is something that I'm sure you have bumped up against in your life too, and that word is patience, which is not the word that you want to hear, probably. The thing is, there typically is a time gap between hearing an idea or receiving an idea, picturing it, and manifesting it. This is because bringing energy into physical form can take time, And the guides may need to line up all the right people and situations to make that dream come true. So I advise you to follow the wise words of my friend Dorothy, who told me years ago, she said, patience is the ability to witness divine timing and to do something creative in the meantime. Isn't that perfect? I love that quote. While you're waiting for one creative act to manifest, do something else that's creative. Clean out your closets, cross off things from your to-do list that have nothing to do with what you're manifesting, talk to your guides, go on vacation, but know and trust that what you've asked for is being created, that you and your team of guides are doing it together. So the very last thing that I want to say before we do a visualization is to really encourage you to have fun with this. That's what creating is all about. We're creating from love. We're creating expressions of love. So if we're not having fun with it, we're missing part of the equation. You may have heard stories about quilters, for instance, women who have created all sorts of beautiful quilts, who pray over their stitches as they're quilting so that they are literally stitching love and healing into the quilt. That's what I want you to do. Whatever form of creativity you're engaged in, enjoy it. Sing while you do it. Dance while you do it. Be totally immersed in it. Lose yourself in it. We tend to take things very seriously, and I can assure you that your guides want you to lighten up. It can be so simple. Here's just a quick story about that. A few years ago, my husband and I went to the state fair, which is known for belly-busting foods like deep-fried Snickers and every kind of corn dog imaginable. Well, the latest thing that year was a red velvet funnel cake. And these funnel cakes are the size of plates with powdered sugar all over them. You know, each one has probably got to be at least a couple thousand calories all by itself. When we got to the fair, I said to Bob and to my guides, I want to try that red velvet funnel cake, but I certainly can't eat a whole one. Well, I had forgotten about that until later in the day when we went and sat on a hillside for an outdoor concert at the fair. A woman, a total stranger, came along, sat down near us, and what did she have? She had a red velvet funnel cake. She struck up a conversation. We talked about the funnel cake, and then she said, "Here, want to try a bite?" Well, I can assure you that I didn't manipulate that conversation. I didn't even initiate it. I had just stated what I wanted, and then the guides choreographed the whole thing. And I can also tell you that the red velvet funnel cake was pretty tasty. So that's manifestation, that's creativity. For the littlest things or the biggest ones, call on your guides as your creativity partners. So I want to finish up today, as I do with all of these podcasts, with a short guided visualization that's going to put you in touch with your guides and just show you how easy it is to manifest with them. Now, when the visualization is over, the podcast will be over. And at that point, what I'd like you to do, if you can, if you're in a place where you can do this, is to take a piece of paper and a pen, or sit down at the computer, speak into your phone, whatever's convenient, and just record any details of what you experience in this visualization. Before we get into that meditation, I want to say thank you again for listening. I really hope you enjoyed it. And there's so much more to come. Don't forget to subscribe to the Sacred Stories podcast stream on iTunes. And if you'd like more information about your spirit guides, please pick up a copy of Let Your Spirit Guides Speak through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and your independent bookstores. And I'd love to hear any questions or experiences you have about meeting and getting to know your spirit guides. So you can find my contact information on my website, deborahengel.com. And with that, we'll just move into a short meditation. To do that, I'd like you to just sit very still, very quietly, and close your eyes, and start to take in deep breaths. Really fill up your lungs with fresh air, and then let that breath out with a very gentle sigh. Now take in another deep breath and let it out, feeling yourself relaxing, sinking into your chair, starting to go within. And then one more time, take in another deep, deep breath. Fill up those lungs and let it out with a sigh. And now I want you to move your attention to a place just above your navel, the solar plexus, which is called the seat of the soul. Become aware of a light or a flame burning there. You might see a candle or a lantern, or simply feel a warm glow. Know that that's your light, your essence, and your connection to spirit. And now see a circle of light extending from that flame, creating a circle of light all around you. Breathe into that light. And now picture something that you'd like to create in your life. Could be anything. A new job, a happier marriage. Could be a new pair of shoes. Just anything that you want to create. Whatever it is, just see it clearly. And then invite it into your circle of light. This glow, this essence of you, is your creative energy. It's your alchemy, turning thoughts and desires into physical form. So invite your desire into this space, and you've invited it into your heart and your soul and your very being. Now ask your guides to help support you and to support this manifestation with divine timing. Ask them to line up the things that need to happen so that everything can just flow with ease and with grace. State your intention to be open to their direction and their insights. And also let them know that you will be patient and trusting until your creation shows up in your life. Let yourself fully feel this. Feel their help. Feel your desire. And now, silently express gratitude to your guides for being your co-creators. Know that you can come back to this place of co-creation and manifestation at any time. So take in a deep breath. Let it out with a sigh. And very gently and slowly, and as you're ready, open your eyes, come back to your space, and record anything that you'd like to remember from your experience.